Video we will see how to create an account in GitHub, and we will create our first repository in GitHub. And in this video we will also cover the basic Git commands to add your code into the repository and committing the code. So for managing code in GitHub, first we need to create a GitHub account. So for that you can go to github.com and sign up for a new account basically if you don't have a GitHub account. So you just follow the process and create your GitHub account. And once after you create your account, you can use sign in and you can log in into your account and start using GitHub. So once we log in into Git, it will take us to the dashboard page. So we can create a new repository by clicking the new button in the left side. So you can see new repository create page will be opening like this. So for the demo purpose, we'll create a repository in my organization. So let's name it as demo git repo. So there are multiple things in this page. So we can create a repository in public mode or private mode. So private mode will be only visible to us, but the public mode repository will be visible to everyone in the internet. So you can decide upon what kind of repository you wanted to create. I would suggest if you are planning to publish your work, whatever the POCs you are working or anything like that, you can just create repositories and make it public repositories. And we can also add a README file in the repository. That in that README file we can explain about what is this repository code contains and those kind of things. And .gitignore file is something like in some cases we will be having some dot files in our code build and stuff, right? So in .ignore file we can add those files that we don't want to check into Git basically. So it provides some basic template for creating a .git file for various programming languages. And then license file is one of the important thing in GitHub repository. So since if you have decided to making the code as public, we need to add some open source licenses basically. So I usually choose MIT license or Apache license. So let's do that. So I'll be adding a README, and I'm not adding any gitignore file for now because this is only a demo repo, right? So, and license I'll be choosing MIT license, and I'll be clicking on create repository. So that's it. Your repository has been created. So now let's check out the code and we'll add some files into this. So for that, next step is we have to clone this Git repo. So you can just click on this code tab, and there are multiple things you can see: local, code spaces, HTTPS, SSH, and GitHub CLI and all. So so basically, like for cloning into our own local system, we can either use HTTPS method or SSH method. So for starters, I would suggest using the HTTPS method, because for SSH method we need to set up a public key of our public key of our laptop or desktop, and we need to add the public key into the GitHub setting basically. But since this is a demo, we can use HTTPS for cloning the repo. And GitHub CLI is a kind of UI based code management for GitHub that we can cover later. And code spaces is something like it will provide us with the immediate VS Code ID for start developing our code. So, but for the purpose of demo, I'll just use this HTTPS link, and I'll be cloning the repository in my local. So yeah, so I'll be opening a directory, and I'll be running the command git clone and paste the repo the URL. So that's it. That code has been cloned into our local. So let's go into that repository directory, and you can see there won't be any files added inside the repository. But since it is a Git repo, we can also see a .git folder would be created just to indicate that this is a Git repo. So now we will try to add a file in this directory. So for that, we can just create it using a vim command, or this is just a demo, right? So I'll be doing some echo of some string, and I'll be creating a file. This is a test file, okay, and I'll be putting it as a name like test.txt. Now you can see the file has been created. So now let's check in this file into Git. So for that, first command is we need to see what all the files that are modified in our current process. For that, we need to run git status command. So now it is showing these files are untracked, meaning these files are not available in the GitHub portal basically, or these files are not yet being available in the repository. So we have to check in the file. So Git itself will suggest some commands, or what are the next command we need to run. So next command we need to run is first we need to stage the files using git add command. So let's add it. So git add command uses either we can check in what are all the new files or what are the unstaged files or untracked files that are showed in the git status command. For that we can just do dot, so it will just push all the untracked files and recently modified file changes. But if you wanted to specifically check in only one file, you can just give the file name. But since it's actually again a demo, right, so I'll just use a dot, and it will be like now if you run this, we can see that changes to be committed, because now the test.txt changes been staged in the local staging and stage of local git staging actually. So next command would be we have done git add, and now we have to do git commit. So git commit, while giving git commit, we have to provide a meaningful message. So adding file in the demo git repo, because we are adding a file in the GitHub demo, right? So we need to add a meaningful message in the git commit. So that will be ready for committing into the GitHub actually. So now if you do, it will be showing a status like nothing is been available. That's nothing to commit basically, right? Because we have already added the staged file into commit stage. So next command we would be running is doing the pushing the file into the GitHub basically. So for that, let's run git push origin. So once we run this command, it will be pushing the file actually. And one other information I forgot to mention earlier was, whenever we are creating a repo, it will be containing only one branch basically. So here if you can see, it will be by default creating the main branch, and whenever we are cloning the repo, the main branch code will be checked out basically, right? So so that is a very basic actually. It's like whenever we are creating a GitHub repo, it will be creating only one branch. That branch name is main. And if you wanted to create some other branch name, you can just type new feature or whatever the branch, right? New branch name, and if you click on create branch in GitHub UI, it will create the branch. And so if you are having another branch and if you wanted to work on it, what you have to do is you just clone your repo and it will be it will be like showing main branch code only, but we have to run the git checkout and the new branch name or other branch name just to switch the branch basically. So let's try that as well. So I'll just create a branch named a new branch. So yeah, so now we have created a new branch, right? So let me try to check out the branch basically. Git checkout new hyphen branch. So so earlier we pushed the code, right? So let's see that code is updated in GitHub or not. So you can see that test.txt has been added in GitHub. And now let's try the git branch command basically. So for that, if you are creating a new branch, uh, we have to do a git pull in the main branch. So it will take the latest changes and branch history of the particular repository, and we can take the we can switch it to the new branch now. So git checkout new hyphen branch. Yeah. So now you can see the branch has been switched. So for anyone to know like we are in which branch, we can just run the command git branch. It will show what all the branches are available and what is the branch we are currently in. So that is how we can check that actually. So in this video tutorial, we have covered creation of creation of account in GitHub and logging in and creating a new repository. And we have seen the repository basics, like what all the files will be created. And then we have cloned the repo using HTTPS method. And we have added a new file called test.txt in the repo. And then we also created another branch that is called new branch in the repo, and we just switched from main branch to the new branch. So let's try adding a file in the new branch now, or we'll just try to edit the same file in the new branch. So we have added test.txt, right? So we can see that that whatever the line we have added and we pushed into the main branch, that line was added here. So now let's try to add a new line in this file. So this line is added from new branch. Okay, let's add a line like that, and we will see like what happens now. Okay, so again the same process is git status. It will show the file was modified now, and we will do a git add and the file name. So again run a git status. So it is showing like file is modified, and then we will do a git commit. So again we will give some meaningful message. So the message would be like file has been edited from new branch, right? So that is the message I am adding, and let's push the code into new branch. So since this code, since we checked out and being on new branch, whenever we run git push origin, it will be taking the branch that is currently the code has been checked out. So now the file has been checked out. Okay, so let's refresh the page and see what happens now. So the changes whatever we pushed into new branch, that will be only visible in test.txt file that is available in the new branch only. If we see the main branch, that changes won't be there. Okay, so now what we need to do for adding this change into a main branch. So for that, there is a process called pull request. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to raise a pull request to merge the code from the branch. So we have to raise a pull request to merge the code from the new branch to the main branch actually. So whenever there is such modifications happened in any branch, GitHub will indicate us that this this repo has a code changes in the new branches basically. So we can just click on this compare and create pull request, or we can go to pull request tab to do that. So just for demo purpose, I'll just do a compare and raise pull request here. So now we can just give some meaningful message and raise a pull request. So I'll be adding a message. So the test.txt file changes from new branch. Right, so that is the message actually. So we are adding the test.txt file changes from the new branch to main branch. So that's it. So I'll be raising a pull request. So since I am the only one user in this organization, right, or this is my own GitHub account, so there is no approval process is being required. But in general, in any project environment or any client environment or for any other purpose, whenever we are doing in the real time, right? So we would be adding some reviewers for this pull request, and then we are checking in the code basically. So that is the idea. But for me, I don't need any request because this is a demo process, right? So I'll just merge that code actually. But one other thing I can show is for reviewing, if at all, if you are working on a real-time environment, we can review the code from the files changed tab, and reviewers can add the review comments in the line of the file wherever they wanted to do the change, or like that they can do. So for the demo purpose, I'll just simply approve this pull request from here. So you can see there is a process called comment approve and request changes, right? So since there is no branch protection, that is not enabled. So let's try to merge this code now. Yeah, so that's it. And so this, whenever we are clicking on the merge pull request, whatever the code available in the new branch will be pushed into main branch. That's it. So the code has been merged now. If you go to the code tab, and if you check the test.txt now, right? So you can see the file has been edited from new branch. That code has been added into main branch now. So now we are in main branch, and you can see the test.txt should be having the file changes that came from the new branch actually. So this is the high level GitHub basics. So yeah, so we covered creation of repository, and then created a new repo. So basically, and then we added a new file in main branch, and we created a new branch and edited the file in the new branch, and we raised the pull request and merged the new branch code into main branch now. So that is for this demo. I just wanted to show you guys. So if you have any questions, you can just post me in comments. And yeah, and that's it for today. Thank you. In this video also, we will going to see about GitHub. In my previous GitHub video, we have created a repo in UI and cloned the repository locally using HTTPS method. And then we have added a file and then pushed the file into main branch. Then we did we created a branch, and we updated the same file in branch, and then we merged the branch changes into the main. So that is the demo I showed you last time. So in this video, what we are going to discuss is some of you might be aware that I also write technical blogs in Dev2 Techno website. So I kind of write a variety of topics from like infrastructure code, AWS related technical blogs, as well as DevOps tools related blogs as well. While back, like I have written one blog related to the similar one, creating the first Git repo. But in this blog, I was talking about creating a repository in in our local environment, and we will be initializing the repository as a Git repo, and then we are pushing the repo into the website basically. So that is the blog I have written. So for that, let's anyway jump into the blog and we'll just go through that. So first we'll be talking about the introduction. So the introduction talks about it is a kind of Git tutorial, and this blog provides steps to create the repository locally, and the basic Git commands that can be used to push the file. And this article has been inspired from the Git cheat sheet URL. So it is the cheat sheet having in the basic commands that is needed for Git at the various stages of source control code management basically. So if anyone interested, they can look into the Git cheat sheet URL basically. You can also Google search and open that Git cheat sheet page actually. So that's how we can do. And as I mentioned, like what we are trying to do is we will be creating a new repository in UI, and we are not going to clone it basically. Instead, what we are going to do is we will be creating a repository in our local terminal, and then we will be pushing that code into the remote repository actually. So that is the idea of this blog. So first, as I mentioned, we will be creating a repository in GitHub website. So the steps follow the similar pattern, and I have explained what and all I mentioned in my last tutorial, right? So we can add the name, and we can set it as public, and we can also mention whether it needs a readme, gitignore, and the license file. So we can choose it, and the repository will be created. So next step is we have to copy the GitHub repo URL from address bar, and it will be used later in the step 8 while we update our local repository into the the GitHub repo we created in UI. So we can just copy it and keep it handy somewhere. And then the third step is create a directory with a similar repo name. So for example, I named my repo as test repo. So I'm creating a repository directory name as test repo only. And then I'm going inside the repository. And then next command is very important command. So we have to run the git init command. So in my last tutorial, I was talking about there is a folder called .git, right? So that makes that particular repository as a Git repository. So wherever there is a code is there in Git, when we check out the repository, we can see there is a folder called .git will be there. So in this folder, what we are trying to do is instead of cloning that, we will be creating a temporary local repository with the same name in our terminal, and then we are running the git init command inside the test repo directory. Okay. And next step is we need to create a branch, right? So that is this is all manual step actually. So for that, we have to create a branch like git branch -m and the branch name. So main branch would be the master branch of particular repository. That's up to you to decide. If you want to keep your main branch in some other name, you can just keep it. But whoever going to use that repository needs to know that default branch name. So ideally, or it is always recommended to keep the default branch name as main branch. And whenever someone required to create a new branch, they can create it in their own interest of name. and then now add the repo to the remote Git URL basically. So after adding the git init command and creating the main branch, we have to initialize, we have to add the remote repository name into the particular folder, so that later when we try to do a git push, right, so it will know that this code has to go into that particular repository in git UI. Then we can create a temporary file, and I'm just adding a readme in this repo, and the same process, like we'll be following, like git status and git add, and then we are adding the first command, first commit command actually. So we are adding that particular readme file into that repository, and this that remote origin URL is the one we have copied whenever after creating the repository in UI. So so now the changes are staged, and now we are pushing the changes actually. So since this is the local repository we are trying to push for the first time, carefully notice, so we have to run the command like git push hyphen set upstream origin main. So this is the command we need to run when we are trying to push the local repository into the remote origin. Basically, in this scenario, like we haven't cloned the repository. What we are trying to do is the UI having a repository named test repo, and for that test repo repository, we are adding a code from the local repository. For that only, we are kind of after initializing, we are adding the remote origin, and then we are adding the upstream command basically. So it will be pushing the code into the main branch in the Git UI basically. So we can now see the repo updated with the checked-in files. So this is the major topic in this blog I have written. So the repo link also available in the blog basically. So anyone interested can look into that. Similarly, I will also post this blog URL in my YouTube video. If anyone interested to know more about pushing a local repository into GitHub, they can try to do that. So that's it for today, and thanks guys, and we'll meet in next video. Bye bye.